Hi, and welcome to my Art Updates podcast thingy, whatever. I'm releasing these podcasts to keep people. I was going to say people like you, but I don't know. Maybe not people like you. But anyway, to keep people updated about what I'm working on creatively. If you don't know who I am, I'm Andrew Woolner, by the way. But if you don't know who I am, you're like, who the heck is Andrew Woolner? This podcast thingy, update thingy, probably won't be super interesting for you. I've designed this podcast for friends, family, and acquaintances who are interested in keeping up with me. So there are no big gimmicks or anything like that. Listen if you want. It's a public podcast, but I won't be offended if you do whatever you need to do. Just do whatever you need to do. If this is your first episode and you are going to keep listening, and you don't know what I've been doing since I moved to Japan in 2003, I said that very strangely, 2003, I suggest starting with the very first update before coming back to this one. This update is being recorded and released on Wednesday, January 25th, 2023. Last episode, I committed to releasing these thingies once a week on Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday. This week, all this stuff happened, and not all this stuff happened, but I was busy, and today was Wednesday was the first day I had a chance to sort of actually sit down and record. Oh, by the way, if you hear noises in the background, aside from the usual helicopters or whatever going overhead, my next door neighbor is having renovations done on the exterior of his house right now, right outside my office window. So yeah, that'll be happening for the next 3 or 4 updates probably. Just as I was ready to record today, for instance, the workers started incessantly hammering. I think it's a roofing job, so I'm like, I don't know. I can't win. I've just decided to record anywhere. There seems to be a lull right now, but I'm just going to plow through this since it's probably not going to stop before I have to pick up the kid in like 55 minutes. Oh, yeah, and of course, all this happens on the day that I think I finally got my audio settings dialed in properly. Although I won't know until after this is recorded and I'm listening back to it in the player. Okay, so with that out of the way, let's get into this week's updates. First, the YTG Winter Show, March Show, Spring Show. Technically, it's happening. The show is happening in spring, but we're rehearsing it in the winter. So I've been calling it the Winter Show. I don't know. Call it whatever you want. We still haven't decided on our theme, story, topic, or anything like that, but we're getting closer. Jekyll and Hyde is back in the mix, but if we do it, it'll probably be connected to the Lovecraft stuff, at least for sort of images, or maybe not. I don't know. We're all reading the material before our next meeting on Thursday night, so obviously I'll be reading the Lovecraft collection called Fungi from Yugoth and Other Poems, and I've actually already listened to the complete audio book of The Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. So if all goes well, we'll be deciding on Thursday, which is tomorrow, which story to use as the base for our next show. So up until now, I'd thought that Orlando was the favored one, and I was ready to just knock Jekyll and Hyde off the list, but ensemble member Sarah made a decent case for it in this last meeting. The issue of dual personalities is really relevant to Japan, for one thing. And of course, we can use the sort of the cabinet of Dr. Caligari imagery that I was rather hot to try out. So yeah, I also have a few ideas for it. For instance, how Dr. Jekyll or a Jekyll figure can represent, say, a system that oppresses but is separated from the violence that it inflicts. So imagine a genteel politician who can't abide swearing and coarseness, and yet passes laws and makes policies that result in a bloody coup or a putsch in some faraway country. And that soldier who murders a child in that country, that would be Mr. Hyde, but he has been enabled and maybe even you would say created by this sort of Dr. Jekyll politician figure. Yeah. So just as an example. And we've actually agreed to strike Frankenstein off the list, which is surprising. Last week I would have said Frankenstein was the number 2 contender there. So Orlando remains the number 2 contender, and then we've still got those H.P. Lovecraft poems floating around. Other than that, my week artistically has been focused, at least from Sunday, has been focused on the new YTG intern, Tatiana, who flew in Sunday morning. She's from Australia, and I spent actually Saturday evening, most of Sunday, and Monday, dealing with issues and getting her installed into her room at the share house near the theater. YTG ended up having to pay for a bunch of things that the landlord really oddly hadn't provided. So bedding, a mattress, for God's sake, bug spray, don't ask, and a few other things. But you ended up taking basically a good chunk of my Sunday. Well, in any case, the intern seems nice, and she seems really on top of things. So I'm looking forward to starting rehearsals in February. What else? Oh, okay, yeah, I went to a production of Oleana on the weekend, just a couple of local actors in a tiny venue, and I was happily surprised that it didn't suck, actually. And you know what? If you're familiar with Oleana and you haven't read it in a while, I suggest you revisit it. I was expecting something that felt really, really dated, and it does in some ways. But I feel like the meaning of that play has unintentionally shifted a lot since it was written. Like almost, I think exactly 30 years ago. I think it came out in 1993. And it changes some of the balancing between the characters, I think, to think of it in a modern context. So, yeah. Oh, something else I forgot to mention last time. This has been sort of brewing for a while. I'm working on setting up a photography class that might become a series of photography classes if it goes well. So the idea is to teach the basics of composition to a group of elementary school age kids. And then I might be able to spin off another one as well for the parents where we talk about more specifically sort of portraiture, like, because my thing photographically is doing kids' portraiture. So it seems like a reasonable thing to teach to parents. Maybe not from a business continuity perspective, but from a thing I can teach perspective, it is. So this will be for the NPO that I volunteer for, and I'll keep you updated on that. I think I'll probably be teaching those in February or March. Okay, general life updates. Oh, yeah. I applied for a rather exciting job a couple of weeks ago, and I got a notice was it last week or was it the beginning of this week? I think might have even been the weekend. I just got a notice that I wasn't even going to get an interview. And given that I spent an entire day tweaking my video and photography portfolio, I was disappointed. And yeah, I was a little bit surprised. I thought my work was good enough for I thought I was a good fit artistically for the position. But yeah. Well, anyway, in the meantime, I'm going to have to find some freelancing work anyway to tide me over until the voice acting work I've booked in the spring. Okay, so that's it for this week. I will catch you in 5 to 7 days. Andrew out.